So today we've got another wee bit of work on the FZ. I've taken the tank off, as you'll have noticed, because if you've been following this, you'll know that the tank's got a huge big dent in it. So I've taken it off, I've drained the fuel out, I've taken about 10 litres out of the tank, so the fuel light's flashing, so there's just a wee bit in the bottom. So what I'm going to do is try and fill this in. I've taken what was left of the sticker off here, and I've taken the logo off the other side. There's a few wee scrapes there. I've taken the tank protector off because what I'm going to do is to paint it with the paint I've got. It's easier to give the whole thing like a complete coat, because if I just do part and then try and blend it in, it's a nightmare to do. So for something the size of a fuel tank, what I'll do is I'll get this buffed down, and I'll put a coat of acrylic undercoat on before I fill it. A lot of people say that when it's like this and it's rusted, buff it down and put the filler straight onto the bare metal. You don't have to undercoat it, and yet other people swear by putting acrylic undercoat on first, so as it doesn't rust, and then filling on top. And I watched a video last night, a bloke who was doing tests with body filler and testing it against bare metal, testing it on acrylic undercoat. So I think I'm going to go with the acrylic undercoat first, and then put the filler on, and then once it's dry we'll get it sanded off, levelled off nicely, and we'll get it painted up. Anyway, enough of the chit chat, let's go in with it. So first thing I'm going to do, wire brush this off, a rough wire brush. The rougher it is, then the better everything sticks to it. So I'll just take a minute to do this. So that's it all sanded down. So what I've tried to do is go right round the edge, just to bare the metal, right round the edge of where all the dents are, and then sand out all the rust. If there's good stuck paint in there, just leave it. Just give it a scuff up with the brush, just to roughen it, so as it gives the undercoat and the body filler something to stick to. So this is what I'm using. It's an acrylic primer surfacer. It's a good undercoat. I've used it in a few jobs, so just make sure it's, yeah, just give it a quick, like that. Now as you can see, it's just a very light coat, and the reason you put a light coat on is you let it dry, you give it another one, and then maybe another one. And then that's good enough for your undercoat. Well, 5 minutes by, and that's quite dry to the touch. So I'll just give it another wee coat. And as I say, I'm only wanting to paint the bit that we're going to fill, so I'll give it another wee. Oh, it's enough of wind. Enough of wind coming through there. The wind's blowing that way, it's going everywhere. But that's okay, because this is all going to get a sand. Once the filling's done, this is all going to get sanded, so any overspray the undercoat will be taken off. So, somebody once asked me if there was a trick to filling, and the only trick that I can think of, it's not really a trick, but a recommendation that I can make when it comes to filling, is little and often. Just put a little bit on, spread it, let it dry, then put another layer on, rather than putting you put too much on in one go. It's hard to try and get it to set. And don't overdo your hardener, or you end up like me, where all your hardener's used and you still got half a tin of fillers left. But yeah, so the trick, this lid's no good for mixing really, to be honest. The trick when you're mixing it is to fold it, not to not to swirl it around, because if you fold it, it doesn't let any air bubbles in, because if you're filling it and you get air bubbles in it, as you're sanding it down, the bubbles appear, and then you've got to fill in the bubbles with more filler. It's a pain in the arse. But here's the piece that I'm going to fill. So like I say, little and often, if you can. Doesn't matter, you don't get it all filled in one go. I'm trying not to get over the rest of it, because if you do, then you're just going to have to sand all that off. So here's the second coat on. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to use a bit of cardboard, something a bit wider, just to get a nicer I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, a nicer film maybe. So I want it to be just above what I need. I might be overdoing it, maybe I should be doing it in a couple of stages, but once I sand this, once it's all sanded, if there's wee bits needing a bit more, I can always add a bit on, but I'm just going to put it on thick just now, let it dry, and hopefully there'll be enough on there that when I sand it, I'll be able to shape it. But we'll see how it goes. So here's the next day. This is set quite well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and take it down a wee bit with a 400 grit, wet and dry. Just put this trolley over so I'm going to put my stuff on. Well, that's it sanded. Very smooth, very smooth. See all these wee potholes? That's like when you don't mix your filler properly, you get wee air bubbles like I have. So what I need to do is mix up a tiny wee minuscule and just wipe it over them to fill them in. Just leave it for a wee bit and then just a light sand, and that should get rid of these wee bubbles. So this is all we need, just a wee spot, and fold. See the wee, I don't know if you can see them, the wee air bubbles in there. You're supposed to fold it until you get rid of them, and then you know when you put your paste on, it's going to be nice and smooth. And if there's anything left of that, like if there's any wee holes in it, then the undercoat and the paint should fill it. But anyway, I'll leave that. Scrape off most of what I don't need. I'll let that dry, that'll take like 5 minutes. And then what I'll do is I'll give it a light sanding. What was I using? I was using I can't remember, 320 grit to do that. So now I'll work my way up to maybe, I don't know, 1000 grit, 1500. And then we'll get the tank prepared for painting. So I've left that for an hour, that's dried off. So I'm going to give that a wee quick rub over, just to make sure it's filled it in properly. Grit. I'll get that tank rubbed in with 1000 grit. rubbing all this down, you can see there's like a wee chip here. You can see that? So instead of filling that chip, I've buffed it with a sander to smooth it off. Any wee scratches, you just buff it. Here's a wee bit here, a chip. I've just buffed it to level it off, so you can get all the imperfections out. So now I've done that roughly with the sander, I'm going to get maybe, I don't know, 1,000 grit wet and dry, and just go over it, because when you're doing it with the wet and dry, your hand sort of goes to the contours and it makes it much easier. You get every bit sanded, whereas when you use a machine, you know it's straight and you kind of get into all the nooks and crannies. So I'll get some stuff and I'll 1,000 wet and dry, and I'll go over that whole tank. So that's better, and of course over this again, you can run your fingers right through that. I don't think you can feel it. You might a wee bit, but then I'm no professional. Give it another wee smooth off. Now, when you're done with that, you need to get a proper cleaner like this. This is it's like wax and grease remover. It removes everything off your paintwork ready to paint, because if you don't do that, your paint will bubble. So I'll go and give it a wipe down with that. Here's my wax and grease remover. I'll give it all a good wipe with that and let it dry off. You need to make sure you get every bit covered. So I've put the first coat on. As you can see through it. It's not covered it perfectly, but that's how you're supposed to do it. You don't want to try and coat the whole thing in one go, because all that will happen is your paint will bubble, it'll run, and it'll be a mess. So you just do a light coat, overlapping with each movement, and just build it up and build it up. This looks funny here where the filler is, but that's okay, because that'll build up. It just takes time. That is a slow process, this painting. But however, that's another coat done. That's the third coat. Beginning to take shape. Now, tank is done. It's no bad, it's not perfect. You can still see where it is a bit, but it's not bashed and rotten. So I've just sprayed the whole tank, which looks not too bad. So I've got a wee drop in the can. I'll maybe give it another couple of wee bits. I'm just about getting a run on that, which is a shame. But however, the painting's not the biggest part of the tank. The painting's easy, but, well, not easy, but it's the rubbing it down. You need to use a nice 2000 grit paper, rub it down, and it smooths out that orange peel. And then once that's done, I need to get my buff with some cutting paste and cut the whole tank to bring up that shine. And then once that's done, I need to give it a good wipe down and then a polish, and that'll be it. And then I need to get a couple of wee Yamaha badges to stick on it, and she'll look no bad. Anyway, that's all tomorrow. I'll see you later. Well, it's another day, and hopefully the final day of the tank. As you can see, it feels rough like sandpaper, but she doesn't look too bad. It's a wee bit funny here, but I'm hoping sanding it will be sort of help that. There's a wee dent on the tank there, Don't know if you can notice that, but yeah, just one of these things. And there's a wee mark here where it had paint chipped off, but I put undercoat on that and done it. This wee bit that's funny here, you'll see it, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's like spotty. And I think what that is when I put the undercoat on, I didn't put enough over this. But anyway, I'm going to sand it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand it with some wet and dry. Now I've got a machine for doing it, but the problem with a machine is when you've got contours like this, you can tend to be using a machine and go over it like that, and the next thing you take the paint off. I didn't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is do it by hand with some wet and dry. I'll probably use 2000 grade paper to start with, and then if I'm happy with that, then that's fine, I'll get her buffed. If not, then I'll maybe, I don't know, I'll maybe bring out my machine, because I've got up to 500 grade, 5000 grade, so we'll see how it goes anyway. I'll go and get set up and then we'll make a start. So that's 2000 grit, that's a really fine. So as you know, the numbers start like, if it's a low number like 263, 364, that's a rough grit. You get up to the thousands, it's really fine. This is really fine. And one of the reasons I like this is because you can feel it working, I can feel the roughness coming off of that right away. That feels so smooth compared to that. It's like it works straight away. It's great. But what you want to do is try and get it all. Every bit of it. So I've got my tool out. This is a 3000, so that's taking it up another 1000, a wee bit finer. I'm going to give this a wee try. So, a little tip, when you finish doing it with this, see bits in here where you can't dig into, you can just, see, just on some of the ridges, just any wee bit that you weren't sure about, there you go, and then we go down to maybe a 4. Now, this is the best part. Cut and polish and a buff. Okay, so sometimes the pad in your buff gets a wee bit filthy. I'll show you how you cure that. And what you do is you get a blade or something similar and just clean your buff like this. And that's all it takes to clean it. That's clean enough, it's taking all the crap off it. try not to leave it lying on its side like that or you get a flat spot. However, that doesn't matter. So let's try a wee bit. So you can get cotton compound and you can get cotton polish. So what I use is the cotton polish on this because it's my paint and my paint is not very good. Use the pure cotton compound, you could cut through the paint quite easily. So I'll use this cotton polish. Use plenty. One of the tips with this is you don't want to burn the paintwork. Don't have it going too fast or it dries out and then it starts to burn. So I'll do a wee bit. I'll just mix this stuff around first. Let's try it off quick. Got my wee drill with the cotton pad on it because this big one's just too awkward to get in. So I'll use my wee buff in the drill. So it's really just a matter of going over it. I'm going to get on with this, move my camera because it's a bit messy and there's shit flying everywhere. So I'll be back in a minute. Well, that's the tank buffed. Once you get it all buffed, use a nice polish like this. That's Auto Glim Super Resin. It's really good stuff. And give your tank a really good coating of this polish. Now, once it's done and you take the polish off, it should look good. If there's any wee blemishes, you can quite easily get a bit wet and dry 3000, go over the blemishes, and then just go over it by hand with a wee bit of cut and paste. But let's have a look and see how this is going to turn up. Looking good, still a wee bit pot mark in here, but there's not much I'm going to be able to do with that really. You find when you give it a coat of polish sometimes it's still a bit orangey peel, but that's smooth as anything. Look at that, the cloth just falls off it. So if you get any wee blemishes, just like this bit here, there's a wee bit there, try rubbing a bit of polish into it. If that doesn't take it off, just a wee bit wet and dry. Just give it a wee cut and then a wee bit of polish. And yeah, and it should come up alright. Anyway, I'll go along ahead and polish the rest of this, see how I get on, and I'll get back to you. Well, that's it done. Do you want to have a look? Oh, the finished product, the bash gone. Now, I will admit it's not perfect. I could have done with more undercoat on top of the fillers because the paints went a wee bit spotted here and here. That is just stuck on with a bit double-sided tape because the bike's got gold wheels. So what I've done is ordered 2 new badges, one for each side, but it's a gold and black to match the wheels. What else? I've ordered, I need to tidy all this up, take all this gubbins off. I've ordered the single headlight kit. So it's on its way from, I can't remember where. And that should be about it. I'll have all this wiring to do, take this off of here and run it up under here and cut most of this off because I'm not going to need most of this crap. There's a lot of unnecessary wiring there. Let me see, the back panels. This one is rough. I don't know what somebody's done with it. They've hand painted it or something. I might take it off, rub it down. The one on the other side is the same, but it's got a crack in it. I can repair that crack with fiberglass, but I'll have a look. I'll see if I can get a couple of panels. I'll maybe just get them. This is the big bit, this bit here, the bit with the handle. Grab handle here, and one at the other side snapped off. So I believe this is all one piece. and the handle starts here, comes up and goes onto here. So I'll probably have to order one of them. Might get one for the wreckers, I don't know. And this gubbins here, this is for putting a rack on the back or a bag or something. I don't know if I'll take that off or not. I might leave it, because you can actually buy, in fact I might have one, you can buy the grab rail that just goes onto here and it just goes up along and down onto this one, so it's like a grab rail for a passenger. So I might just leave that there if I can find my grab rail. If not, I'll just take it off. So that's it. Oh, good. So that's no bad. And remember, I wasn't going for perfect. I was going for reasonable looking so as it can pass its roadworthy. And that looks not so bad. But it'll be better once I get the gold coloured things on it. Anyway, that's it. That's how to do your tank. I don't know if it's the easy way or no, but that's how I do it. So I've just got the front of this. Mick had rubbed the scooter down the other day, so I've got the front of that to sand down. So I'll either tackle that today or probably tomorrow, I think, but we'll see. It all depends, because I've been bidding on a bike at the auctions. It's a cruiser. I'm not going to say what it is, but I was bidding on it and I got the winning bid, but it wasn't really a winning bid because the seller wanted more money. I think it's an insurance company. They wanted more money for it. But so I didn't win it. But the auction house phoned me and says, look, you were the highest bidder. Do you want to offer a bit more and see if they'll go for it? And I says, no. I says, what I bid on it was more than enough. They cost the new bits and pieces to repair it. Says it wouldn't be worth it if I bid any more on it. So they're going to speak to the owner or the insurance and see if they want to let it go at that. If they'll let it go, great, guess who's picking up another bike tomorrow. If not, then it'll be back to finishing off the scooter. And yeah, anyway, catch you later, see ya.